Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode from Break Turn. We have an update podcast today. We're here with Mr. Dan Kosen. We interviewed Dan and Sam a couple months back, and he may or may not live nearby, and I was like, let's catch up with what you're doing now. So we were actually just talking for a half hour about what we're going to talk about because we don't prepare anything. But thanks for coming, man. I appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me here, and you're home this time, so it's beautiful.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, we got a little setup, nice little between two ferns is what we were going for. Is a little Zach Galifianakis setup here, but the reason I want to bring you back is because when we interviewed you and Sam last time, y'all were sprinting from rotor pilot, nothing on fixed wing, and then you went from nothing to type rating in like 7 months.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we left off. But then since then, you've made it to an airline, you've made it to 2 airlines, and I want to talk about a lot of the things because I have not moved airlines, and there's a lot of folks, especially with hiring fluctuating, is just talking about the psychology of your journey. We'll weave in logbooks and interviews and your decisions to change airlines and all that stuff. But I think it's fascinating,
Sure.
and I'm really looking forward to get into it. So I'm
as well. Thanks.
Yeah. But so let's start where we ended, if we can, and we'll just tell a story, A and B style, if you will. So we'd interviewed you. You and Sam had done the type rating, and then let's start there. So you retired. Like, what happened? You interviewed, went to RTAG. Like, let's start, if you don't mind. Let's do that.
Yeah, sure. So again, historically based, with airlines and ebbs and flows and all these kind of things, I realized, Sam and I were doing this kind of during a unique period in time, and that shaped our perspective, and it's different, for every generation. But yeah, for us, like I think RTAG 23, we went, and that was probably the kind of the peak of airline hiring over those previous 2 years. Had just been crazy after COVID, and then we were fortunate enough to get hired after the type rating. We got CGOs from an airline in February, and we started training, later that year. So and things had really started to kind of peter off at that point. We were very fortunate to get the CGOs when we did, and get to the airlines and start, getting that experience that we needed, to actually flesh out and put all these tools that we had learned to work and be productive in a new industry. So
I remember I'm laughing because I remember that RTAG. I think it was in Dallas.
Yeah.
It was like you and Sam, and there were like a couple other guys, and you guys straight up like had the place mapped out. You guys had who you were going to talk to in what order, and then you had used the break turn booth, which Julie was like, "Your guys' stuff is everywhere." I'm like, "I know, Julie. I'm so sorry." But you guys had like used the break turn booth as like your little base of operations, and then you guys would rally there, get a granola bar and then branch off, which I thought was awesome. But also for the folks listening, it's like, look, I mean, that was obviously when hiring was pretty good, but taking this transition seriously. Well, of course I take it seriously. I know, I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying that seriously means, you may have to strategize going to the conference. Who am I going to talk to first? Like having a real intentional plan to talk to the people you want to talk to. I mean,
Sure.
is that what you guys did? I mean, it seemed like that from my perspective. But.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had both, again, if you reference the first podcast, kind of come to the conclusion that we wanted to change career paths and go down this road without communicating to each other. And, when people from the military are retiring, there's this tendency to kind of, keep it a secret, and you don't want to tell anybody until you absolutely have to. And we were doing that, and then eventually, even though we're sitting across the office from each other every day, like realized that we were both thinking it. But that was only in March or April of 23. And then, like you said, we once we made that decision, it was full send, and came up with our plan and executed it. And we knew that in October with RTAG, that would be a good kind of bookend. Like, we're going to put in all this work. We want to show up as well prepared as possible with actual, chicklets checked on the way to ATP, to show that we're taking it serious and we've actually done some things, and try to build some street cred going into it. But also, have all our logbooks ready, resumes, logbook prep, know who was in the realm of possible to, who was worthwhile to talk to, as far as prioritizing goes. But then showing up there's always like, it was awesome just walking the floor, because there was companies I never heard of before, and not being in the airline world or really airplane world at all, you just see there's, the 135, there's cargo, there's, airlines, like there's just this entire world that you haven't experienced, and you're just kind of an outsider looking in. You want to gather as many data points as you can to make a good decision on which path you want to take. And having not, had that firsthand experience, all you can do is talk to other people, preferably ones that you know and trust and can provide, valuable perspective.
Yeah.
So.
No, I feel you, because I remember in this, there's no shame in this, and I don't think I have any shame anymore. I probably do. Whatever. I call it collecting merit badges.
Sure.
So when I was going through my transition, I had, and frankly, as an aside, because I'm ADD, I think that in a very cool way, and this is from my perspective, and so someone would be like, you're wrong. I'm like, that's fine. I'm used to being wrong. It seems like that the modern airline industry seems to value rotor hours more than they did before. Again, that may be from my perspective, but it seems like, yes, you still need your ATP mins, and obviously mins for consideration for hiring or interviews fluctuate, as it does for everyone, whether you're a rotor or not. But in terms of someone saying, oh, you're just a rotor guy, you have 5,000 hours, those are worthless. They may be worth less, but they're still worth something now, which I think is super cool. But the merit badge thing is, I remember when I was transitioning, I wouldn't get my CFI, my CFII, not necessarily because I wanted to instruct, but maybe a contingency plan here and there, but it was to make my resume look good. And it sounds like y'all kind of did the same thing with the commercial multi, the ATP. You actually did the check ride, right? So you got the plastic, not just the written, and you got your type. So that when you present yourself, you're like, your merit badges are, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, did you see success with that?
No, definitely. And we also sought opportunities outside of just time building and acquiring ratings and things. We tried to get some practical real world kind of experience. So we went and made friends with a skydiving operation in the area. For example, a former SEAL, so like someone whose community we were already kind of close with. And that was very interesting flight experience there, as well as doing some contract work, again, with people that are kind of in our community, flying some ISR platforms, and had an opportunity to fly right seat in a CJ2, again, for a local, just Part 91, private owner type situation. So wasn't flight time that I could log, but again, it was just these kind of opportunities to get out there and start exploring and get some real experience, I guess, outside of just a flight school.
So how did you find those? Like, because I'm thinking, okay, live close to Nashville, but like, did you seek them out, or did you just simply talk about what you were doing and then people naturally want to help? Oh, I got a guy you should call. Like, how did those opportunities come about? Skydiving, ISR, et cetera.
So the skydiving was actively reaching out as a way, again, to try to get some multi-turbine hours on the resume, just something to help, kind of sell ourselves, to get some added experience, those kind of things. Wrote and reached out, called several. There's really only two big ones in this local area. And fortunately, as soon as the one guy, saw my resume, I attached that on there, and he's like, oh, he used to do this. Like, so he reached out and called. So it's kind of networking within the community that you already exist within. And then flying the ISR aircraft was, again, kind of utilizing your own network and friends, and staying in touch with people who have moved on from the military and now do other things. So that was an opportunity that was kind of leveraged based on friendships and that kind of thing. And then the Part 91 gig was very much the same thing. It was an owner who was a donor to kind of the organization that we all used to be a part of, and wanted someone with that pedigree to fly him around. So
I think it's cool, because I think, not to be cliche, but if you don't ask or if you don't pursue, the answer is definitely no. And so there was a gentleman that did a skill bridge with us way back, and he was flying with a flight school on the East Coast, and they had a 135 kind of cargo op, and like a small, it's just, think mom and pop, but like, we're just going to do boxes, very small. And he just asked them like, hey, you guys need people to fly that? Mm-hmm. And they said, yeah. And so for the folks listening, when you get your ratings and you're doing your time build and all that stuff, it's very much okay to explore these unique opportunities and jobs and just ask at the end of the day. Obviously be prepared, like you have your resume and stuff like that. Speaking of resumes, did you have your setup for your interview post?
Sure.
Like your first one?
Yep.
All right, can we grab the stack right there? So transitioning here, we want
you can leave the iPad.
Dan and Sam, a lot of folks, the topic is interview prep, resume prep. So, and you use this for all your interviews, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there's
that one too.
Without going on a monologue here, the way you present yourself obviously matters. Duh. There are different
Thank you.
companies, different ways that you can get your stuff together. You have obviously your airline apps or whatever function you do to do your application to your companies. But then once you meet with a human, and I've kind of been on both sides of the table for this, but when you meet a human being and you talk to them, you have, what would you say, like 15 minutes, and then you maybe get an interview and maybe it's like 45 minutes, but you have less than 60 minutes to sell yourself. And so the way you look, the way you speak, your physical products, your logbook, your resume, the way that your stuff is organized, it is an immediate reflection of you in that short period of time. And talking with folks who have done interviews, the human mind is very quick to judge. You can't judge a book by its cover. Well, we sure do that in America. So I wanted you to walk me through your setup to show, I think this is kind of like the premier quintessential, like if you were to go full send, I don't know how it gets much better than this. And so people can reflect on the level of effort they're doing in that 30-minute period to make themselves look as good as possible. So what all do you have?
I think we could do a podcast just on this all by itself.
Yeah.
But I'll try to be quick. And
Okay.
I'll emphasize that I interviewed with a bunch of different companies, and this kind of evolved over time. So it wasn't like I jumped and the very first day I had all this ready to go. It was several reps and learning along the way kind of what made sense. So I think this is really something easy to start out with. I think Flight Level makes these, not sponsored, but it just.
But if you want to be, call me.
It's a very easy, professional way. Airman certificate, radio, passport, medical. Keep it all together, and it's in the flight bag at all times. Got a little Apple tag on there. But any employer is going to want to verify, your actual documents. So having that to pull out and easily reference everything that they need to see I think that sets a tone.
And this is great too for when you commute. I have something similar, and I don't want to say I get compliments like I'm awesome, because I'm not awesome. But people are like, oh, this is nice. And you're like, yeah, because it's got all the things the captain needs other than your crew badge to validate. And it's all here, and you can't lose it. Yeah. So, this is great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very paranoid. They're like this and the crew badge, like you mentioned, like you're not going far without those two things. So those two things are either on my person or in my flight bag. They don't go anywhere else, and I'm very deliberate about that.
Fun fact, as an aside, which I'm ADD, which you obviously knew that. As an aside, this was misplaced. There is a high probability that my children got into my my flight tech bag and were playing with this. And so I went on a trip. I got to Atlanta somehow, and I went to grab this, and it was gone. And I thought, oh no, that's really bad. You can go onto the IACR website, and maybe I'll post it in the show notes, or we'll just do another episode. But you can actually go online, and you can have a temporary document that's good for like 90 days. I don't know if you knew this. Okay, I didn't know this. I called the chief pilot, and he squared me away. It's like a certificate looking thing, and for 90 days it's valid, and it has your rating expiration date, it has your medical expiration date, and it has all the, sorry, phone's ringing. It's got everything, and it is a legal document. So you can present it to the jump seat or to the gate agent, and it's a legal document. So that saved my butt. The only thing it doesn't do for you is it doesn't have your crew badge, your CAS and KCM, and it doesn't substitute for your passport.
Right.
So yeah, anyway, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Both of these are ProSoft products, which I think are, bar none the standard across the industry. But you can see that has a business card and a resume in it, photocopies of all the pertinent documents that any employer could ever want to see, along with dates of all the different ratings, and college transcripts and some miscellaneous military awards. But that just kind of shows a little bit about me, and then this is the real meat and potatoes of the actual logbook. And this is a story in of itself. Coming out of the military, I had about 4,500 hours of rotor wing time, and so getting all that out of capers was a little bit of a challenge. I used a service called Millkeep to kind of digitize all of that in a civilian presentable format. But the work didn't really stop there, because you have to compare it to your 759. That's kind of the master document that you have to reference all your hours off of. So I wanted to make sure my military time and that matched. A little harder than it sounds. And then, in the military, we're not really great about logging ICU identifiers for all of our takeoff and landings, and they don't really exist for bad guys' backyard in Afghanistan. So that it was just. But any employer is going to want to see tail numbers, ICU identifiers, takeoff, and arrival locations. So that it was a lot more effort than you would initially think to just go through and get all the military stuff straight. And then had been using ForeFlight for civilian flying, all my airplane flying. So I had these two different products. Got log 10 to combine those. Again, I didn't know, but everyone that did know, said that was kind of the industry standard. So I figured I'd get on board. Got those two products combined, and then did my best to make one singular product with. You can see my paper logbook in the very back there. Again, my first flights in that were logged back in 2002. But any employer is going to want to see everything, all your original stuff. So it's all there, all the original endorsements. There's photocopies, milestone tabs. It's all cross-referenced. Pretty proud of where it ended up, but it took a lot of work.
This is like your Love Me binder, but for a different industry entirely.
Exactly.
So the reason I want to bring this up is because I've talked to a lot of folks who do interviews, and generally each airline is different. Some of them have a different level of intensity, I'll call it, of how much they go into your stuff. But generally they'll ask for your pilot license, your FCC radio operator's license, your driver's license, your passport, right? They'll ask for your all of the stuff that's in that little Trapper Keeper there. And then they'll ask for copies. You can upload copies of all of those things as well as other things. Yeah. So having it in a nice binder is very nice. It's not just all over the place. And it's the reason why I like this technique and ProSoft specifically, which for ProSoft, if you go to Brake Turn Academy, there's a discount code for ProSoft, which is what all of this is. Yep. And there's a discount code, I think, for Millkeep as well on there, which I'll get to in a second. But these really show yourself as a professional. But when the recruiter is going through your records review, it's so fast to do it for your certificates and such. And then when they open your logbook, depending on the airline, they want to see everything. And again, depending on what airline you're interviewing for, everything means everything. A lot of times folks won't bring their military flight records to interview, and they're asked to leave because last time I checked, everything means everything. It's not confusing, so bring everything, okay? Having something that's organized is nice to have. So what I've heard recruiters do is they have to validate PPLs, they look at your logbook, commercial check rides, they're looking up and down to ensure you don't have a failed check ride that you didn't report, or maybe you forgot about it, not saying anyone's lying, but they're validating all that. And this particular system, it has it tabbed. So if I was a recruiter, I'd come in here and I'd go in here and I'd say, okay, well, this check ride is on tab 3, and I'd pull to tab 3. And it just saves time. Yeah. And I'm not having to peel through coffee-stained, logbooks where I can't read the handwriting. It's all very professionally done. And then in the back, like I said before, everything means everything. You have the original. So if you have signatures in here that you transposed here and I want to see it, it's right here. If you have military flights and I want to see, I can go back here, right? Yeah. So this is so clutch, and I love this. And again, when we talk about effort of presenting yourself in the 30 minutes, I mean, you can have something like this, or you can have a stack of. I think I had heard a recruiter tell me that someone came with like 4 logbooks, which is fine. I'm not, and again, because this costs money, and money is not unlimited, right? But like, if you have 6 logbooks, I'm having to spend 20 minutes figuring out when your instrument check ride was, and if the signature is your CFI or the DPE, and I have questions, it just makes it harder for me to get through to the actual like interview part. So
absolutely. There's several different things there to touch on. Different companies you're gonna interview different ways, but typically process kind of starts with an application and it's going to have hours. So I want my hours on the application to be accurate. When I submit them a resume, often attached with the application, I want the hours on the application and the resume to match. Yeah. And then usually they're not going to see your actual logbook until you show up to interview. But I want to keep all 3 of those things updated and all exactly the same. And then I want it to be easy for them, like you said, to cross-reference all those things. And pretty much any company is going to tell you ahead of time, like, hey, here's a document. This is what we're looking in logbooks. This is what you need to bring. It's pretty simple. Just do what they tell you.
And they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that second. So, okay. So thanks for going through that. What is this? Just your?
Yeah, the last company they want.
Your military
Brown
stuff.
Bomber military
records.
And all that kind of stuff.
Sweet.
Is in there.
So check them out. ProSoft, Millkeep. Millkeep, if we haven't said it, it's a company that it's mostly online based, and you send them your CAFERs.
Yeah.
See, I remember stuff sometimes. You send your CAFERs file, their CSV file to them, and there's a certain way to pull it, and then they take that and they translate it into an importable document to a digital logbook. Will they send you a printout or no? They probably just.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
I had to print it out myself.
But it like converts it, and then they'll ask you questions about do you want to add the 0.3 or whatever, which personally wouldn't recommend, but that's just my opinion.
Agreed.
But then you can kind of go in there and look, because I know for me, a lot of the NVG time it doesn't show up as night, and so you have to say like, hey, can you just make it night? And I have my military stuff over here if I ever go back into doing hood rat stuff. But it's like, it's night. I mean, which
100%.
I don't. Yeah. But Millkeep's great for that. So, all right. So thanks for that. I appreciate that. So you interviewed, so how did that go? So you interviewed for, at Artel, you got picked up. What was it like going into, I think it was an Airbus, you rushed to get the type rating, and now you're at a company. Like, what was initial like? What was IOE look like?
Sure.
What the basing, like, tell me how that first year was.
Yeah. So after going through the ATP and type at ATP Jets, which was, I think, a total of 9 days or something like that, very
crazy,
very accelerated.
So wild.
Yeah, it was challenging. In comparison to that, in doc and ground school and going through sims with my first company was not bad. I don't want to say it was easy, but it was like a 3-month process as opposed to 9 days. So all of the systems and kind of ground school that you go through, they actually use the same software between the 2 companies, except for this time I'm sitting in a classroom doing it for 8 hours with a bunch of other people, all my other classmates.
Yeah.
But the exact same stuff. So it was not difficult, and it really provided me an opportunity to, I'm in class with a bunch of other military folks and, CFIs and just a wide spectrum of individuals. So if there was concepts that they were struggling with, most of them had never seen an Airbus before. It gave me the opportunity to do kind of that coaching, teaching thing that I really kind of missed from the military.
Yeah.
So it made it a little more fun not seeing everything for the first time.
Yeah.
So was able to enjoy it.
Would you say that, so if someone were to say you had the luck that the type rating you got for merit badge building was the same aircraft you ended up getting, would you tell somebody go in and get a type ride, even if it's not in the same aircraft, is still valuable? Because, not because, why and why not? And I'll give my thoughts.
Okay, so I think there is value and getting your ATP and type for sure, any type, because it demonstrates trainability. I think it's all about you're selling yourself to the company that you're going to be able to perform to their standard and represent them, right? And it just shows that you've done it before, you can do it again, and just help sell yourself, a little bit. So I think it is valuable. I'd say especially for someone like myself that didn't have any jet or turbine experience, trying to get a jet turbine, job. It helps kind of move the needle a little bit. I think the same could be said for a CFI gig or that kind of deal. My only kind of caution with it is, yes, it demonstrates trainability, but obviously, if you're not going to have actual hours in the plane.
Sure.
So that would be the only thing that I would caution. Like if you do have the opportunity to go get your own type, and there's a plane that you can actually fly and acquire hours in, that would be great. But I think the Airbus is kind of a ubiquitous platform, and it's a known quantity. People know what it is, and if you're going to an airline, it's apples to apples comparison versus having a CJ2 type rating and saying I want to fly an Airbus. So.
Interesting. So I didn't even think of that. That's a really good valuable. So where I was going with it, and I appreciate you bringing that up, which I love having these conversations. So I would agree. Going to get a type, even if you don't end up flying it, is great if you can have the capacity to do that, because it shows that you can pass that qual. Getting the type rating is shows like, yes, I can pass this. I can conceptually understand how to do that. And there's all the regulations and stuff. So if I get a Airbus type rating, but then I get hired somewhere that doesn't have Airbus, that's fine. And I don't think that's a waste, personally.
I don't either.
But your second part I didn't even think about, which was if you can get a type in a plane that you can then fly, whether it's a 135, that's, I would propose, maybe a little bit better. Now, is it the same jet that you're going to be flying at that 121 job, if that's what you would like to do? No. But to your point, which I think is a really good one, which is, hey, if you have this setup where you can go fly, whether it's on a skill bridge or, for the first couple of years to get your hours up, getting a type and getting experience in it, I would say that's pretty dang good.
Absolutely.
That's pretty interesting. So, okay, so would you say, if I may ask, would you say that, I know you had a hiccup in your type rating experience. How did that affect you? Was that brought up? For those who don't remember the podcast, I like sharing it, and Dan gave me permission to share it, so we're good with it. A lot of us don't like to, because we're pilots and we're, aggressive people, if we screw up sometimes. So Dan had messed up on a type ride, and then he subsequently passed it, no problem. But I want to talk about it because a lot of folks hide that, and that's not great, because none of us are perfect. And so seeing now the manifestation, how did that affect you at all? Was it brought up? How did that come up again, if it did at all?
Sure. So in my initial interview that I did for the airline that I've worked for the last 18 months or so, of course it was brought up. I included it in the application, didn't hide it. Everybody knew about it. I was asked about it directly in the final interview, and again, didn't hide anything, and really just tried to kind of spin it in my favor as much as possible, because no one else in the class, or with my level of experience, we had some people that had come over from Spirit and that kind of thing, but there's not very many people that go out and even attempt to do that on their own. So it kind of showed that, okay.
You did what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Showed that I was willing to go kind of above and beyond, was trainable. It was something that I fixed, and, continued to want to, move forward. And they kind of applauded me for it. And it gave me an opportunity to speak about the things that I did wrong. In Airbus terms,
Yes.
And the interviewers could immediately tell that, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, he knows the Airbus, at least to some degree,
yes,
and is using the proper terminology to describe, exactly what went wrong and what should have been done to correct it or do it properly. So I felt like I got a little bit of street cred, like there's just not a lot of people that know those kind of terms unless they are Airbus people.
I could see that being kind of interesting, because they're used to interviewing people who either don't have any experience in that aircraft, but knowing that you didn't, but still speaking the language. Listen, I think it's a great story, and I'm not trying to over romanticize it, but you're able to highlight the type of person you are, because we're talking about a mistake that was made, but then as you're explaining what the mistake was, I would propose it probably actually helped you.
Yeah.
To where if you just had it on the resume, they're like, oh, okay, this guy got a type. But the fact that you could now bring it up and communicate it to them, they're like, oh man, this guy actually knows what he's talking about.
Sure.
That's
Obviously, it would be, I wish it had not happened,
Correct.
but it did.
Yes.
And I would just encourage people to be open and honest about it. Don't try to hide it. Look for the good, in every story, and just kind of, emphasize that. Obviously, it can be a hiccup if you had a failure like I did, and then you're trying to get hired. It could set you back. Again, I realized I was very unfortunate that it didn't with my initial employer, and I was able to get on.
Yeah.
And then with the, my subsequent employer, was able to demonstrate a 121, training history and going through initial and recurrent and all these kind of things, and having no issues or repeated SIMs or anything like that. Kind of demonstrated, track record of, recovery, so to speak. And again, it was disclosed, brought up during that interview, not a big deal. And it all worked out. And there's no sense in trying to hide it anyway, because everything is digital nowadays. And trust me, like any employer is going to go through your PRD with a fine-tooth comb. And there's no sense in trying to hide it.
It's funny because I'm on several group chats like everybody else is. And it's funny when something different happens to somebody, the first comment that's made in the group chat is, that's a TMAT story. Yeah. Tell me about a time story.
100%.
Kind of like, oh man, like you got a sweet TMAT story. But okay, well, I want to go transition because I really want to talk about this part. So I first want to go, your first year, what your experience was like with the hiring market, and maybe you was stalled a little bit, how that affected you. And then after we talk about that first 18 months, I want to talk about the psychology and decision-making to switch airlines, because I love talking about that, and I think it's extremely valuable to people who are starting this profession. So let's start with, how was the first bit? Reserve, new culture? Did you have to commute? Like, what? Tell me about all that stuff.
Oh man! All right.
Wherever you want.
I don't know exactly where to start. So again, everybody's priorities and what they're looking for in a job is different. Fortunately for me, I'm a retired military guy. I have some, retirement income and others. Bottom line is, money was not my priority. I had been deployed, 20-something times, and just constantly on the road in the military. And I wanted to prioritize quality of life over everything. So chose an employer where I know I wasn't going to make the most money, but I had a reasonably good chance of being home every night, at least within 6 to 9 months of waiting to get the base that I wanted. So chose an employer primarily based off of that criteria: high quality of life, home every night. They got a base right here in my hometown, so it's going to work out great. Made it through, like we said, new hire training and IOE and all that kind of stuff, and got based in Cincinnati, which, because the base in my local town was not an option, which I was fully expecting. Did IOE and got integrated into Cincinnati and hit the line. I was on reserve most of my entire career at this airline, because I think, as everybody knows, kind of after February, or I'd say spring of 24, hiring didn't necessarily cease everywhere, but it dropped drastically. And that's just one of those things that people that have been in the 121 world and airline world for a long time, they're used to these kind of ebbs and flows and how the market changes over time. I knew kind of from academically, what those kind of things meant, but until you get to experience it firsthand, you don't really know. So entering the company, I think they did 3 or 4 classes after me, and so kind of was in the bottom 100 pilots on the seniority list for the duration of my time there. And because of kind of the small base model of this airline, it fluctuated. Basically, my seniority got worse the longer I was in Cincinnati, but I was either basically 28 out of 30 most of my time there. Oh, man. Which wasn't, it was not a terrible thing. So yes, reserve, but Cincinnati is a fairly busy base. There's a lot of stuff going on there with my airline, with being a maintenance base and large piece of their charter operations and things go on out of there. So there was kind of some unique opportunities, and ended up flying still a little over 500 hours in my first year. Again, mostly on reserve. I think I only had 3 months or so that I wasn't. And it's all short call. So what that meant for me was commuting or driving up to Cincinnati, which was about a 4-hour drive. And then my work would always be kind of stacked in 3 or 4 days sequentially. So bought an RV, parked it up there near the airport. And that was kind of my chew, if you will.
On wheels.
Yeah. So I'd move up there, live out of my chew for 3 or 4 days, get called on reserve or not, and do my flights, and then come home, leave the RV there, and so it's worked out. It's been not exactly the sales pitch of the home every night that I was expecting. However, it is much more in line, at least as far as my family saw it, as like a normal airline job where Dad would go away for 3 or 4 days and then come back. So initially, where I was a little afraid of that, not wanting to be gone all the time as an airline pilot kind of deal. I mean, I've kind of lived that for the last 18 months now, and it's not nearly as scary for several reasons. I think the biggest thing that I've enjoyed about it is I think the airlines in general is kind of the separation between church and state as far as like work and family goes. Like there is zero overlap, at least for me.
There is zero overlap.
There's zero. So when I'm at work, I'm in Cincinnati, whatever. Like I'm doing my thing, focused on work and being the best, at my job as I can be. And then when I'm home, it's crazy coming from the military. I mean, people hear it, but it's true. Like you do not answer your phone. You don't have to answer emails. Like you're not contactable. So like you're fully present as a husband, a father, whatever you want to be. Like that, you can focus on that, and that has been great.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said, because we were talking earlier, like the perfect, pilot's never satisfied. The perfect job is flying a wide body out of Chattanooga, Tennessee to Amsterdam and home every night. Like it doesn't exist, right? So, which I appreciate you bringing up, because it's like, living in base and out and back, that's ideal. But honestly, being gone for 3 or 4 days, it's not the worst, especially because that's kind of the model of all the other pilots out there as they go on trips and stuff like that, to keep that perspective. And we were talking too, comparatively, and again, maybe I am embellishing, which I may or may not tend to do. All I had to do to beat the time off I had in the military was 10 days off. Because you have two days a weekend and then a 4-day every month. So that's 8 plus 2 is 10, right? Not even considering TDY, flight evals at 2 a.m. and deployments. So minimum, if I got more than 10 days off a month in this particular venture, I'm winning. Which, would you agree that you're well exceeding that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Even as 28 out of 30. And having a commute for a non-commutable airline, like still home far more than that.
Yeah.
So.
But I like your story, because I think that everyone has a plan. At least everyone should have a plan. And sometimes it doesn't go exactly as planned, but that's still okay. And there's no reason to like be upset about it, which you're not communicating you're upset at all, which I love that, because it's like, okay, well, I live close to a base, but I don't have the base because I don't have the seniority. That's okay. And it's all part of the plan. And as long as you're going through your decision-making process and you talk with your, family, if you have a family, it's like, if I get, stuck in Los Angeles as a base for a year, is that okay? And if it's like, well, that wouldn't be great, but it meets the ultimate goal, which we'll get into in a second. It's not that bad. Then go for it. The folks who make their decisions based off of the ideal circumstance and then they're upset when they don't get it, that's just poor planning, in my opinion.
Sure.
And, understanding all the factors to the decision you're making, I think, is very, very important.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
No, it's well said. And I think it's important to have some not only humility, but just accepting that there's a lot you don't know, and the only way to really learn some of these things is through experience. And like the military lifestyle that I lived, transitioning to the airlines could not be more different. Like they're just drastically two different worlds. So I had to tell myself, like, be open, like, experience this, try it out. Like, it's different. Humans are resistant to change. We don't necessarily love it, but sometimes it's for the best, and you're not going to know unless you give it a legitimate opportunity. And having never lived this lifestyle, I was like, it's different for sure. I don't know if it's good or bad yet. Let's see. And like, for example, again, I knew this going in, but if you work for a leisure airline, like, you're probably going to be working on weekends and like during holidays and these kind of things. So that wasn't necessarily a surprise, but it did. Once the reality struck me in the beginning that having weekends off was going to be a rare thing, that I was kind of like, I didn't know what that was going to be like.
Yeah.
And I have grown over, the last year or so of doing that, where I still get weekends off from time to time. I'm not saying I never get weekends off, but it's not bad being off during the week, especially during the phase of life that I'm in now. Like, I've got, 3 younger kids, middle and elementary school, all doing different sports activities. Mama works too, outside the home. So like, my family needs me the most during the week.
Yes.
And guess what? Like, Dad, like, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, guaranteed at least every week, if not a little bit more, we'll be home for all of those practices, after school activities. I walk my son to school. I pick him up from school almost every day. Like, that's
awesome.
It's been, So like, all that to say, this initial shock of like, oh my God, I'm never going to have weekends again. Like, you will, not every weekend, but there's been so much awesome stuff that's come with it that I didn't necessarily foresee.
Yeah. I love that perspective, because it's somewhat rare, and I don't know, maybe I am biased. A lot of the military folks have a decent attitude about it because of what we used to live.
Sure.
We're like, this is great. There's a joke that I heard. It's corporate brings in all the pilots together, and they're all in the room, and they said, excuse me, they said, hey, we got great news. We're going to do a little bit of changes to the company. We've heard you guys don't really like the schedules as much, so here's what we're going to do. We're only going to fly on Wednesdays. That's it. So the rest of the week, everyone's off, but we're only flying on Wednesdays, all right? That's a change we're making. We hope that makes you guys happy, finally. And there's have you heard this before? And then
I have no idea where it's going.
There's a pause in the room, and then a guy in the back raises his hand. They go, yep, there's a question in the back. And the pilot goes, every Wednesday? It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, right.
But, and again, I make fun and I joke, but having a good positive perspective, I agree. I mean, weekends off is great because the kids are out of school. If you have kids, the weekend is designed, I guess, in America for kind of reset and all that stuff. But honestly, being here during the week is not bad either, because you contribute. Things are open, stores are open.
Absolute parking lots wide open.
Yes.
I cook dinners for the family.
Yes.
Like, everybody's eating healthier, better meals.
Yes.
Like, it's just, there's been all kinds of
less traffic
stuff
to the airport on the weekend sometimes. Less rush hour traffic. Yeah. I was going to say something else. I forgot what it was. Oh man, out and back. It's rolling okay. That's what I was going to talk about. You had talked about it's different, and we had talked about this a little bit before we started. The difference between, how do I start this? There is a very obvious and a very normal difference between military lifestyle, depending on what unit you were in, maybe more egregious than another, and airline lifestyle. In the military, you have like a direct line supervisor, you have a mission, you're always doing something, there's always things to do. You have a platoon leader or a commander or whatever the case may be. And then the airlines, it's different because no one calls you. You show up, fly the plane. One of my favorite captains I used to fly with used to say, "Fly jet, pick up check." That's all you do. And I'm like, it's kind of right. But like, how was that for you? And I'm going to speak to it as well. But how was that for you to go from a role? You were saying you were at like the Pentagon a month prior, and now you're in an airline sitting reserve in an RV, and you're like, what did I do? Like, how was that?
It is very different. So obviously, I got out of the military as a fairly senior guy and worked for many years to establish a reputation and trust in my superiors. And one of the last big things I did in the military involved me contributing, not with my proximity to the target, as we kind of say, but going up to the Pentagon and helping kind of sell and answer questions for something we were trying to do to some very senior leaders. And just being in that kind of audience and being trusted to go there and do that and represent, the unit was it was very fulfilling, just to be trusted on that level of responsibility. And then transitioned very quickly to a reserve first officer at a low-cost carrier sitting in an RV. Like, we were kind of joking about it, but that's life, and that's what I wanted to do. So it required a little bit of humility to do that, for sure, but just being real, and that, yeah, I could, fly the snot out of some helicopters and brief and do whatever, like these other things. Like, that's not what this job entails. Like, I have a lot of things, I know a lot of things, but in this world, I have way more to learn than anything else. And that's the mindset that I need to be in. And I would think about, I don't know if it's you or Nick, I get you guys confused sometimes, but like, grow where you're planted, kind of thing.
Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, grow where you're planted. And like, there were some things that were not ideal, but I had a lot to learn and experience to gain, and like, just wanted to make the best of this situation. And I think I did. Like, it worked out pretty good. But yeah, what you were talking about with direct supervision of your seniors and whatnot, as a warrant officer, retired, that is kind of like allergic to direct supervision and just want to be trusted to do my own thing. The airlines are actually pretty great for that. I was just telling someone a few days ago that, like, I had very unsexy pairing, but I had to deadhead on a carrier down to Punta Cana in Dominican Republic, stay in a hotel overnight, and then operate a plane back the next day.
Yeah.
And it shows up on the app on your schedule.
Yep.
All the airline tickets, hotel tickets, whatever. And like, there's no phone call, there's nobody telling me where to be, when, what uniform, whatever. Like, there's zero contact from the company other than this app. And I just show up. They're trusting me to get to Punta Cana on my own, to get checked into the hotel, to show up to the airport the next day, and be where, they just trust you to be an adult, show up where you're supposed to be in the right uniform, and you do. So
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That part of it, for sure. And I've still never met I'm sure they were in my new hire training class some point, came in and walked and talked to us, but have not met my regional chief pilot or chief pilot. That's probably a good thing.
Not being known. No, I laugh because you said, like, the direct supervision. I always laugh. It's like, well, his hat's here and his cat card's here. He's got to be somewhere. It's like, no, dude. Like, I got 3 hats and a spare cat card. But no, I agree, and I think there's a scene which I'm historically known for not watching movies and misquoting movies. So I'm gonna quote a movie in true fashion.
Let's hear it.
There's a movie called The Hurt Locker with Jeremy Renner. It's an old movie, and he's like an EOD tech, and it's like high intensity stress because he's like disarming these bombs, and you're thinking it's gonna blow up, right? But I like this scene, and I've used it a lot. Is he's like disarming his 7th EO or what's it called? Unexploded UXO.
Yeah,
there we go, air assault. And mid disarming it cuts scenes immediately, and he's standing in the cereal aisle of a grocery store, and the angle is like behind him, and you can see the row of cereal, and there's no one else in the aisle, and the grocery store music is playing, and they've got the prison lights, the incandescent lights, and he's just staring at the cereal. And he gets mad and he like grabs a box of cereal and storms off. But I'm like, that is very good. It's a very good demonstration of what it can be like.
100%, yeah.
And to encourage those people that just kind of expect that, your bros, your team, you're going to be by yourself in an RV potentially. You're going to be commuting to Punta Cana by yourself and sit in a hotel by yourself a lot. Your sense of purpose may be degraded There's no longer a mission that you need. People don't need you as much. It doesn't feel like they need you. And I always encourage folks to kind of lean into that and expect it, plan for it, mitigate it. I know that a lot of us, we identify and very likely still do with who we were in the military. And when that goes away, there's a chance that, that's hard for you. And I would encourage folks as you proceed or you pursue through your transition to just kind of be aware of that and maybe set up some things in place to kind of help you through that time. I personally think that it's a great opportunity to kind of rebrand you and your identity. If you don't read very much, maybe now you read books when you're commuting in a hotel room. Stay in touch with your friends. Call your buddies. Get on those group chats. Stay off social media. It's no good. If there's different reunions, I know there's the formal local here every year. I like to go to the formals for where we used to work. People will be like, oh, I don't know if I could go. I don't know if I'll belong. You belong, right? Don't shed former you and never look back. You can still stay in the arena with your friends. Don't think that you have to be a ghost entirely. I personally like to take my Bible. I like to read my Bible. I like to really get and study and have time just going real deep, because before I didn't have as much time, or at least perceived not to have as much time. Yeah. And so definitely think of those things. Get a hobby, right? Get a side hustle. You're in a hotel room, get on your computer and do a side hustle type of thing. But I love talking about it because that's a lot of things that people, I would propose maybe in any career, but if I'm in an office with a bunch of other coworkers, there's still that stimulus. But in the airlines and the aviation in general, there's a lot of alone time. And so just being aware of that and just planning accordingly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I think that's so true. And a huge part of the transition, I think, just from, military to the civilian world, probably in general, that a lot of people go through. I was used to just, there was no off switch. It was just like go, 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 go. Like I said, now there's a separation between church and state with work and family life. That never existed in the military. You're always on the, proverbial pager or whatever, can go off at any time. So you're never turned off. And then all of a sudden, your compound badge is gone. You've got a DD-214. Here's your retired ID card. And this entire place that was your world, you no longer even really have access to. So I think that's where it sounds silly, but group chats are huge. It allows you to stay connected and share kind of what you're doing and help each other out. It's just probably psychologically, that's a huge thing for me, because you do go from being surrounded by your buddies all the time to a lot of alone time. Yeah. And then it's just what you choose to do with that. Initially transitioning out of the airlines, it was kind of rough because you're busy. I was busy going through new hire training and all that kind of stuff, but I had a 2-month wait between taking my final sim ride and starting OE. So that was really the first 2 months in my life, really, that I can remember.
What do I do?
Yeah.
There's nothing to do.
Truly, my kids are at school, the wife's working, and I just, what do I do? I did all kinds of stuff. I forced myself to stay busy, and started a side hustle. Kind of that kept me busy and integrated with some people that I used to work with and are big fans of. But I eventually kind of got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't have to stay busy working for other people. I can, like I said, I can meal prep for the family during the day. I can take care of chores so that on the weekends, my wife is actually present to be, a mom and have fun with the kids and all this kind of stuff. And it's not this endless list of things that she has to worry about. So I don't know, you just kind of shift into a different role, and it's okay to not be actively doing something or working for someone else all the time, and just focus on the things that are important to you, whatever those are,
And we can cut this out, but you do loan underwriting. That's kind of one of the ventures you chose to do, which I mean, I'm using it as an example to you explored that. What made you do that? What got you into that? If you want to talk about it, I mean, might as well.
Well, I've got a buddy, Danny Archer, that had retired a couple years prior to me. We worked with him for a long time. Awesome dude. And he had gotten into that world and was doing very well at it. And we had always stayed in touch, was proud of what he was doing. And it appealed to me because it was something that was fully remote. I could do anywhere.
Yes.
As long as I had an internet connection, you
Yes.
can literally like do loans from a phone. So I was like, that's good. So RV or whatever, traveling while the kids are at school or while I'm away on reserve and not getting called, like that is something productive I can do to fill my time, learn something new, which I enjoy doing, and then continue to serve kind of the veteran community in a way.
Doing VA
So we
loans?
kind of focused on VA loans. So
Nice.
that and that test is a mother and a half. Like it is no joke. So just studying for that alone was a lot, and then taking the test and passing the first time was a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And then just getting to kind of learn what that job looked like.
I love that.
I don't know if it's something I'm going to do in the long term.
Sure.
But again, it was just part of that, like figuring out what I wanted to do with myself, and kind of that initial urge to just stay busy no matter what, and then gradually figuring out where I actually wanted to extend my
Makes sense.
efforts. Yeah.
No, I like that. No, it's like you have to choose. It's like you have to choose your avatar.
Yeah.
Like after getting out, your identity, whether you admit it or not. I mean, I would propose that our identity and kind of who we are, how we act, the things we choose to do with our time, is very much nested in what we were doing in the military. And when you get out and you get off the bus with your bags, and the bus drives off, and you're there by yourself, and you're like, I have 2 months and I have nothing. You have to kind of choose, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's actually a blessing. I tell my wife all the time, like, I'm super happy that I kind of got a chance to choose what I want to do, because being a pilot as an identity, while you very well can, usually that's not the case. If you pursue that, it's hard when you're never called and you're not needed except to wiggle the sticks, and then you go home.
Yeah.
So finding that other thing is pretty key. So I love that. All right, so the last part I wanted to jump into is, so you were at an airline that had and this is good, I think. So you were at an airline, getting some seniority, you were driving to Cincinnati, but you had the availability or the potential of having a base close to your house with a more or less out and back sort of model, but you had decided to explore another airline. Why?
There's a lot to unpack there. I don't even know where I want to start. So, for one, again, I initially, coming out of traveling all the time in the military and being gone, the idea of being home every night sounded very appealing initially. But then, like we said, for 18 months or so, I was not home every night. So there was kind of this initial thing where I was like, okay, I'm willing to sacrifice, making a lot of money and for quality of life, and to be home every night. And then that equation never really panned out, because now it's like, no, I'm just making no money and I'm not home every night. I was like, that sucks.
Yeah.
And again, it's not, I mean, I could have solved that by picking up and moving to Cincinnati.
Yes.
So I'm not blaming or throwing shade at anybody. And again, it's just kind of the nature of the industry. If no one is being hired, like, you're just lucky to not be furloughed. You're lucky to have a job. I was lucky to have a job.
That's very true. Amen.
So I was one of the last people to get hired. The company never furloughed me, so I'm grateful for that. But there were downsides in that, there's no base movement. So again, Nashville just never opened up, because nobody's getting hired, nobody's leaving. Like, the whole industry is this, like, if the big 3, 4, whatever are not hiring, then there's nowhere else for everyone to go, and you just kind of sit tight. So I think the seniority is everything kind of cliche, kind of gets abused sometimes, but there's a lot of truth to it. And the bottom line is, there was just, my airline in particular was showing no real desire or capability for growth. And I had to kind of accept that even if I did eventually get Nashville, that due to everyone's ages and just any number of other factors, and there were a couple bases closed down shortly after I started at the company as well. So I had that kind of playing in the back of my head, like, even if I do get Nashville, if that base goes away, like my entire like quality of life like aspect to this, disappears. So, and it's kind of a risk tolerance thing because again, nobody could tell me. It's impossible for anyone to tell you when you're going to get a base. So I don't know. Like I could get Nashville in the next bid. I don't think I will, but it could happen. Like who knows?
Maybe update podcast number 3.
Yeah.
Psych.
Yeah. It turns out Dan didn't take this job. Now he's in Nashville. But yeah, I mean, I just don't. There's a lot of factors, so you have to be comfortable kind of making decisions based on the available data. Making a decision that you think is what's best for you and going with it because nobody can say for sure one way or the other. Like, but I think with all the available data points that I had, again, with quality of life, doing my best to maintain that as the pillar, like number one priority that everything else is shaped off of, going to a different airline with a real commuter policy and different benefits and all these kind of things, I think is going to be better quality of life than what I have now and be better for my family.
Yeah, so. I love that because and I'll use Austin's phrase. I think it's a great phrase. He said when you were hitting targets, someone was giving you the target. They weren't giving you the HLZs per se, but they were giving you the target, and then you had to solve for the X, right? Yeah. And when you leave a military arena, you have to set your own X. You have to say where X is, and you have to do the reverse air assault planning process. Austin, you owe me a Coke. To get to the X. Yeah. And so your X was airline A, but whether, dry hole or whatever the analogy wants to continue, your X moved, and that's okay. And that's a part of it. I mean, that's why I try to tell a lot of folks, like, setting your goals, what your criteria are, is so key, because if you just follow the crowd, you're going to be confused, lost, or disappointed with where you are, and you're not going to know what to do about it. Yeah. For you, quality of life, right? What you didn't say, which there's nothing wrong if you would have said this at all, but what you didn't say is, man, I've just always wanted to fly the 777 to
London or wherever.
Yeah. To Germany, or I'm missing on cities. Amsterdam. That's what I used earlier. I've just always, as a kid, I've wanted to fly 777 Amsterdam. That's a great goal. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But what you did say was, I want quality of life. I want my time to be maybe worth more via the standard, the status, if you will, in terms of the market value. I would like to be able to contribute to my family. Like those are what are guiding you to choose to move your X, right?
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, you're hitting on so many other things. So, for example, going from an airline with about 1,300 people on the seniority list to one with 15,000 or so, like there's just so many more opportunities, so much more and varied types of opportunity, right? So I'm not going to have to stay in the Airbus 737 forever. It can bounce around aircraft. There's, I love training people. I love being an instructor. That's not really an opportunity for me right now because, again, there's just no movement. There's already people in those seats. We're not hiring, new people. So the training department's kind of stagnant. But moving to this other company, there's just so much more movement. There's retirements, massive number of people being hired. There's all these different job roles and things that you can explore and do. So I think I'm really honestly looking forward to that as well. I don't know how I feel about wide body stuff. About 4.5 hours in the bus is like all I really care to do. But
it isn't a bus though, so you're winning there. So.
Yeah, but like we'll see. It is cool to at least have the opportunity available, right? Like if you want to fit into it for a couple years, you can try it on for size. If you don't like it, you can go right back. So
I was about to say that. So I personally will tell folks and I'll say this today, so everyone can laugh at me later on. I personally don't really currently have a desire to fly wide body. I don't want to fly across the pond. I like to stick to north-south and narrow body. That's just kind of what I enjoy doing. But if I was in a place where that was an opportunity to me later on in life, maybe the kids are out of school or whatever, and it's like I could hold a wide body that I'm gone, and then I can bring my wife with me. Like now, all of my desires that I'm stating today have changed, and that's okay. And being in a location for you, being in a location where there's the future potential that's an option is kind of cool. To where if your priorities or your X changes, you have the ability to shift and pivot towards that X instead of having like I have no options,
Yep.
which is very interesting. So, no, I love that. And so when you, I have to ask, you were in your flow, you were doing your thing, Cincinnati, you're like good to go, doing the flying thing. What was your emotion and feeling when you're like, I got to go back to interview and I have to go back to systems and ground schools? Like, tell me how you felt about that, because I don't want to do that at all, and so I want to know what you were thinking.
Yeah, no, it was, man, what was I thinking? I was thinking, again, I truly am grateful for this job, so I'm not trying to throw shade anywhere, but there was a part of my brain that was like, I'd really love not to be in this RV anymore. So like,
That's valid.
Let's create some opportunity here, because I'll get back to your answering your original question, but another thing is just, that's different, again, from the military transition perspective. Like, one thing that's kind of confining that took me a while to get used to in the airline world was just this idea of seniority again. And like, there's nothing I can do more gooder, is the way I would say, to advance myself, right?
Yes.
So we're all used to like being competitive and trying to be the best possible person we can and try to get certain jobs and positions or whatever to advance in rank or position of authority or whatever in the military. And then you get to the airline, like there's nothing I can, like, of course I want to show up and be the best FO I can be every day, but like there are no extra awards or, cookies handed out for like
Correct.
the best gear swinger, the best FO. Like, you're not going to advance the captain faster. There's nothing you can do to get to the base you want ahead of somebody else. Like, it is just all like seniority and time based, and like it is what it is. So that took a little bit to accept, but
there's no OERs or fit reps that you're computing to get a top block on. It's like you showed up and you didn't crash. Continue mission.
Yep. Get that medical updated, pass your PC every year, and and continue. So that just kind of is what it is. And I forget. Oh, so when
going back into like I have to prepare for an interview and I'm gonna have to study systems again, which we all study systems every time we fly. But I'm talking about like a new airplane system. So
so that really is, like, I said all that stuff about the advancement thing because I started to realize that based on age and projected retirements and, lack of growth and these things in my current airline, that I was going to be doing what I was going to be doing I was going to be doing what I was doing. Like nothing was going to change for a very long time. Like, I've always wanted to, I felt a little uncomfortable after doing the same thing for several years and kind of wanted, I don't know, a light at the end of the tunnel, or just the opportunity to try something different, do different things, do more. So I was eager for those kind of opportunities, and that made the decision to really start applying and doing all the interview prep and getting all the things in order exciting, because it was something that I could do. I could take charge of that. It was something I could actually, I wasn't just writing out the clock and hoping to advance eventually someday.
Yes.
It was something I could kind of take charge of, if you will, put a lot of effort into, do my best, try to achieve something, and for the betterment of myself and my family. And that's all the motivation I needed. So,
that's good.
And it worked out good because, again, RV, a lot of time on my hands. I wasn't taking away time from being a dad or a husband or any of that kind of stuff. While I was pouring through, log 10 and sitting on interview prep sessions with Spitfire and all that kind of stuff.
I love that question because my thought of going into that arena is like, I don't want to do that again. And so that's an interesting perspective. I did not I know you're going to say that, but it's like, it's actually exciting because I have the time to do it and I'm going to pursue that and go through it. Yeah. Because for me, I'm like, I don't... Insert applicable pun towards I don't want to learn how to fly a Boeing because I don't want to have to set 12 switches to start the dang aircraft.
Sure.
But,
I get it. And it is
my max
tough,
is 4, man. I can't do more than 4. I can't.
No, just talking to captains, at my airline, because that was another weird thing I wasn't really prepared for is like you go through new hire training, obviously you're a bunch of FOs, and then like you never see each other again. Like I wasn't prepared for that. Like leaving training, and then it's like, oh, I'm only going to interact with captains like, for the rest of time, unless we, via our group chats and stuff like that. But that was different. But anyway, spending all this time with captains, really have a lot of opportunity to hear about their experiences and their histories and how they got to be where they are, good things, bad things, decisions they wish they would have made differently or whatever. And that helped definitely kind of guide my decision-making process to go where I did. Because it all comes back to the seniority-based system, but I did not want to, I'm 40 years old, so that kind of plays into the equation too with potential, growth and those kind of things. But like you get to a certain point where like you better be happy where you're at, because it may not be worth it financially for you or otherwise to ever leave. Like everybody has kind of a different break point. I told myself 45, like I need to be either fully accept that where I'm at is where I want to be. Or, period, I guess. I need to be where I need to be or want to be and be comfortable and happy with that by the time I'm 45.
No take backsies after 45.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was just for me. So
no, that's good.
But I think after that, like you run the risk of getting kind of Stockholm syndrome in a way, because unfortunately you can run into a lot of people out there that are man, I should have left a long time ago. And but they can't,
right?
Or like they can, but it would be a huge sacrifice.
Yeah, it would set them back.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I was going to ask you, of all the so I love stories, because I believe that if you tell me a story, good, bad, or indifferent, and you tell it vividly enough, I technically can accept that as my own learning experience, even though I wasn't present when that happened.
Sure.
Right? Whether it's an emergency or whatever, if you tell a story well enough, I can learn from that, and I've practically experienced that. As you were talking to all these captains, what was maybe one of the craziest stories you've heard of something that happened, or something that happened to you where like this is like an unreal thing, like we lost an engine in flight or something? I don't know, you don't have to. I just don't know if you had a story that you thought of.
Yeah, again, I've only been
It's a TMAT story.
flying for about 18 months, but no, you're right. It does give you, man, as soon as you start thinking about doing interview prep again, you find so many TMAT stories.
Yeah.
Like everyday stuff that you're doing. But been fortunate. I haven't had any significant emergencies. The most, when you get in and you see like 6 different, MEL items on the logbook and all the different procedures and stuff you have to work throughout the flight, like that's probably the most intimidating thing I've personally had to deal with.
Yeah.
But one of my classmates had his captain just go full on incapacitated in cruise flight, just 100% complete. He didn't pass away, but he was completely unconscious. So getting to the opportunity to talk to him and kind of his thought process and working through like what he did was pretty incredible. And wish that hadn't happened, obviously, but it's always, I think it's important when we do experience those kind of things.
Yes.
It's just like doing debriefs and AARs back in the military days, right?
Yes.
Like we want to learn from each other's, from the things that have happened, good, bad, wish we'd have done this different, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We don't want to keep those stories to ourselves. So I'm glad he shared that with me, because it was, he was relatively new, or, just like me. We're new hire classmates together at a smaller base. Had been on reserve exclusively the entire time, just like me, but had like damn near gone uncurrent at times.
Yes.
And then to be presented, a situation like that, like you just never know when it's going to happen. And that's
So let's go. Tom, you're up. Like,
and that's one of the biggest challenges for reserves, honestly, because it doesn't matter how infrequently you're being used. Like it's dangerous to be used infrequently like that. Like you really have to make an effort to show up fully prepared and ready every day, because the standard is the standard.
Yeah.
And I had no doubt that he would, but he performed and used all of his available tools, just like they teach us in new hire training and interview prep sessions and all this kind of thing, and expanded his circle. And fortunate for him, there was a company type-rated captain in the back of the aircraft. So after he got the flight attendant and that captain to come up and help, secure and remove the captain and get him in the back with aid that he needed, and they were able to get everything diverted and handled and safely landed, and the captain handed over and he's recovered. But yeah, you just never know when those kind of things are going to happen. And I tell most people, like, being an airline pilot is, especially on the Airbus, I mean, that's my only frame of reference, but you can click the autopilot on at 100 feet if you want to and ride it to the ground, depending on which company you work for or what currencies you have. But yeah, I mean, when everything's working good, like, it's
easy.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like, I almost feel guilty how easy it is some days, but it's you never know when those type of things are going to pop up, and that's what you have to be prepared for. And
I get the phrase, we don't get paid for what we do, we get paid for what we're capable of doing.
Sure.
So when those situations happen, that's when all the simulator training and emergencies and stuff. But
it's the Sully moments and the V1 cuts and like those kind of decisions. That's why. I'm
just laughing because if I was that FO, I'd obviously lock in, right? Like, I'm going to do this. I'm trained. I'm proficient. I'm qualified. Good to go. But as soon as I heard there's a cap in the back, I'd be like, yes! Like, he comes up, what's up, Cap? You got the show. That'd
be a better TMAT though if there was no captain in the back.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be a great TMAT if there's no captain. But as soon as a captain jump up, I'd be like, thank you. Your airplane. What do you need? But no, that's crazy. Well, dude, I'm super excited for you. I'm excited to follow you on the journey to the next venture, and I appreciate you coming out. I don't think we missed anything. Did we miss anything we said we were going to talk about? I don't think we did.
I think that about covers it.
Interview, resume, decision. Yep, living and base switching airlines, key moments and challenges. We talked about that. Work-life balance considerations. We talked about that. But
I don't think you realized it when you asked me to do this today, but put it in my 2 weeks notice is officially going in after this interview. So
I mean, this will air in December or maybe later, so this will be post-dated. But no, I'm excited, man. I really enjoy talking because today I wanted to take people on the journey from what you'd done before, which is we already talked about that. But then your first airline, what was your experience there, and then really settling in on the the decision to should I stay, should I go, we didn't, do I upgrade, do I do this? It's like, that's a hard decision. And to kind of talk through the psychology of that is key, because a lot of folks, they feel alone in that. And it's like, no, everyone has to come up with that decision. And it really boils down to what are your priorities, what are your goals, and then where's your X? If your X changes, that's totally fine. And it's not like you're switching teams per se. It's like, no, you work for you. You have your goals, and whatever works best for you, not your friends and not the crowd, but for you, is really what you should pursue, which I think you're doing, which is really cool. So, but I love that. Other than that, I think what else we got?
No, I think that's about it. I just love that there's, again, with this, we have a pretty good network of folks that we stay in touch with, and there's so many of us that are just being successful and still making this dream a reality. I'm sitting here today, but there's so many other people excited that we've been able to bring along with us and are just doing amazing things out there for themselves and their families and loving life after the military. So
I love it. Well, definitely check the show notes for the ProSoft discounts. We've got the Break Turn Academy, Mill Keep, interview prep. That's all on there. And then we'll maybe put your email address if someone needs a VA loan. I happen to know the team that Dan works for, and they are, obviously I'm biased, but I mean, they're the best team out there. I think the number one VA loan originators in the country. But yeah, stay connected. Check out all the links, all the discounts. But yeah, I appreciate you coming. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
Yep.
Anytime. And we'll see you guys next time. See you.